Okay, so I'm Cynthia. I'm the host of the reality series CPS the Horror Stories. I'm not an attorney or a social worker, but I'm a mom who lost her kids. And after 2 years of fighting, I did get them back. But it doesn't mean that we don't suffer from all of the things that mental issues that they cause, anxiety, depression, PTSD. So, yes, Nick, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Nicholas Obando, and I'm in Bexar County, Texas.
Texas, another Texas one. Okay, that just makes me mad.
Yeah. So when she had the kids for the 3 months, when I was trying to get it back from April 12th to July 14th,
Start from the
CPS.
very beginning, because nobody heard anything. So,
Well, I haven't seen my kids since February 11th of last year, and that's the last time she picked them up. My ex picked up the kids, but the first time she did, she kidnapped them from me at the park on April 12th of 2018, and I got them back on July 14th, 2018. And the kids began to detail very horrific and graphic abuse that they suffered at the hands of their mom, the boyfriend, the grandma, aunts, uncles, mom's friends, boyfriend's friends. And the whole time,
do you mind sharing what it
uh,
was? The abuse?
well, the abuse is hard to repeat it, but basically, these kids told me no, there's nothing you can imagine that they didn't tell me other than being killed. I mean, having sex with each other, having sex with other people, giving blowjobs, sex games, bestiality, killing dogs, drinking blood. I mean, the list goes on and on and
How old were
on.
they?
At the time of this occurred, 2, 4, and 6, and
2,
CPS was
4, and 6.
and 6, and they were telling me these things. And CPS was in charge. They had the mom was on a 24-hour safety, 24/7 safety plan, so she was supposed to be coming in, checking in on them. And it was a woman by the name of Monica Montoya. And the year before, there was people had where she was in Medina County, and people were warning her about a baby that she was, overseeing, that the parents were troubled, that something was going to happen, and then the baby ended up being killed on her watch. So the following year, that's when she's in charge of overseeing my children.
An
And when this
actual child was killed?
an actual child was killed, an infant was killed on her watch. The people were warning her for months leading up to it, and she ignored it. And then the baby was killed, and she got transferred to Bexar County after that. And that's where she was subsequently in charge of overseeing my children's investigation. And because she was in charge of, checking in on the kids while the abuse was occurring, she was very adamant that nothing happened to the kids. The kids were making an outcry, and she would tell me nothing happened to them. And they went as far as the kids did forensic interviews. And at the forensic interview, Monica Montoya comes out of the interview, and she tells me, because, there's supposed to be a detective and CPS, but the detective was on vacation, so it was just CPS overseeing the forensic interview. And she comes out of the room and she tells me, "Oh, we don't believe your daughter. We don't believe her. She said that he stuck a knife in her vagina and it tickled. That makes no sense at all. So we don't believe her. But she says you have a girlfriend." We said no girlfriends. What's up with that? And up to that point, they had never said anything about girlfriends. As for them to say in the same breath that they don't believe sexual abuse that my daughter was saying happened, and at the same time saying, "Oh, we believe that, she said you have a girlfriend, so we believe that." And I tried
Did you?
having it investigated. Go ahead.
Did you have a girlfriend?
I did not. I did not. That was one. A lot of the abuse that my children had suffered was to get them to say that I was abusing them, or my dad was abusing them, or my roommate was abusing them. When they came forward, even CPS, they were like, "Well, they're obviously being manipulated, but we don't know how," and they just kind of left it at that. And then on that note, when she picked up the kids on April 12th, when she kidnapped them from the park, um, CPS had called me when they found them, and they told me that my daughter had marks on her chest, that they were saying that I had hit her. And they said they had CPS doctors trained on abuse, and they were going to look into it and all that. And they never got back to me. And when I finally got my kids back and I saw the marks, they were clearly like hickeys on her chest. And I called CPS and got them to get to the bottom of like what they investigated, and they told me that the mom and the daughter told that their investigative doctor, or their abuse doctor, that I had hit her with a stick for biting her nails, and the doctor said no, those marks don't match up with what I was saying, and just dropped it at that. And a lot of the stuff they were saying, CPS told me that they should have gotten to the bottom of why the kids were saying what they were and helped me get the kids into counseling, but they didn't do any of that. But they assert also that they didn't do anything wrong. They did everything correctly, even though they didn't get to the bottom of why the kids were saying what they did. I tried to get the kids into a third party. I asked my attorney. He said, CPS handles that. CPS, oh, we've never dealt with somebody wanting us to take their kids, because I wanted the kids to make outcry in a third party, because going through a divorce, I knew eventually it would become he said, she said, and people needed to listen to the kids, and there was nobody to help me with that. And my aunt ended up, CPS let my aunt take the kids, and my daughter had told my cousin, my aunt's daughter, that the boyfriend had stuck his penis in her mouth. And she started crying. She called the caseworker, told her what had happened, and the caseworker had told her, oh, she could have overheard that, and she's just repeating it.
How old was the daughter?
She was 6 at the time.
6-year-old. Now,
yeah.
What's crazy to me, what you just said before I cut you off, rudely, sorry, was she could have overheard it. Even if she overheard it, she shouldn't be hearing any of that. Who would be sticking a penis in somebody's mouth? I don't want my kids to hear me. Sorry, my daughter is in the shower. I don't think she can, but who would be doing that or talking about it in front of a child to where she would overhear it?
Yeah, exactly. What really bothers me is like it kind of plays out over and over, like on a daily basis, like how the abuse would come out. The younger two, they would always ask me, what happens if you fill in the blank? What happens if you eat a bug? What happens if you eat soap? What happens if you eat this kind of poison? And I'm like, why are you asking me? And they're like, oh, because Eric, the mom's boyfriend, oh, because he made us do it. Because he made us do it. What happens if you drink blood? And I'm like, oh, who's making you drink blood? Oh, the boyfriend, he had a dead bird and put blood in the kid's cereal. Stuff like that. And the day that I picked them up on July 14th, my kids told me that the boyfriend had showed up that morning, because I was picked them up at noon on the 14th. So that morning when they were having breakfast, the boyfriend showed up with 2 dogs, and my daughter had asked the boyfriend, hey, what are you gonna do with those puppies? And the boyfriend said, you'll see. He gave one to the mom, and they're on a second floor. And my kids told me that they walked over to the window and dropped the dogs out the window. And we're threatened, they'll kill themselves, they'll kill me, they'll kill them if the kids were to tell anything that happened to them. The kids were covered in cuts and marks, and CPS didn't want to look at it. They refused. They absolutely refused to look at the kids' bodies.
Yep, I have a couple things. Number one, I have a picture of my daughter with fingerprint and bruise marks on her arm. 4 fingerprints that my mother grabbed her, and they refused. And then my mom had sent me a video of my children in a car on the freeway, hanging out the window. No car seats, no seat belts, going so fast, passing cars. And my mom took a video of it and sent it to me, and the social workers refused to open it because they didn't want to do paperwork and investigate.
Yeah, and that's a lot of things too. They were kind of manipulating me instead of like asking, like they didn't care about the kids. They wanted me to do a drug test. They wanted me to do parenting classes and a behavioral assessment. And when the kids are making the outcry, they were completely ignoring that. So I told them, I was like, I'm not, until y'all handle with the kids, like I'm not doing what y'all asked. And when it came down to it, I got the case transferred to Austin, to Travis County. And the caseworker there, she couldn't see why the case was opened or any details on the case. She could only see what they wanted, and she could only add to it. And when I explained to her everything that was going on and told her that the kids did forensic interviews and that the Bexar County CPS had those forensic interviews, she said, I'll look into it. I'll see what I can do. And I didn't hear from her for a week. And I finally called her back. I said, you know what, take me to court. This needs to play out in court. A judge needs to see all this stuff that's going on, because with y'all just running things, like y'all are doing a lot of bad things. And so she didn't respond. And the next day I get a call from her, and she tells me, she talked with her supervisors and that they decided to do an administrative closure over the case. So they were ready to take me to court from one week, and then the next week, I tell them, let's get the forensic interviews, and then it's case closed. And I got different reasons why the case was closed. So they told me that initially that the case was closed, just because she talked to their supervisors, they decided to do administrative closure. The second excuse I got was that there was duplicate case numbers in the system, so the computer automatically closed it. And then the third one, they said that I was being too difficult and hard to find, so they just closed the case. And it's like, well, which one is it? And as far as I know, when me and the caseworker, the new caseworker from a different county went looking for their forensic interviews, that's when the case was closed. So the kids made an outcry. The kids came forward, but Monica Montoya with CPS covered it up because her job and her life is on the line. Because if a baby died on her watch one year when everybody's mourning her, and then the next year, 3 kids are horrifically raped and tortured on her watch, it's not going to end well for her. And there's no third party. I was told there's a third party that can open a CPS investigation, but there's not. Any number you call, it goes right back to CPS, and they're adamant nothing happened. They're adamant they're not looking into it anymore. They're adamant that they've done everything correctly, and it's just not true.
Tell me about the date. Were you in foster care as a child by chance?
No, it wasn't.
No. I was just wondering because I noticed a lot of parents have that history. I was not either. Let's talk about the day that they were first taken. Let's go over that day.
Well, my ex, it had been months. She walked out on us. She stopped seeing the kids. She stopped responding to messages. And then I got a message from her manager at work saying that she was intending to claim the income tax. And she was just giving me a heads up. He thought that was wrong and she shouldn't do it. And a few weeks later, I get a message from her saying that, she wants to make things right. She wants to give me the money. We'll meet at the park, just me and her and the kids. And when I show up at the park, it was her and her boyfriend, her mom, her aunt, and her cousin just snatched and grabbed the kids, threw them in the car. I got run over in the process, and that was it. No, CPS didn't care. Law enforcement didn't care. Even though I had already filed child support and I was a custodial parent of the kids, she still managed to do that and get away with it. And it took me 3 months to get the kids back.
How many?
3 months. And it was during that 3 months that the kids told me what happened to them. And that first day, April 12th, that's when the boyfriend had bit my daughter and left these marks on her that lasted for months, well over 9 months. And I was telling CPS, I was like, how can somebody put a mark on kids and it lasts for months? And that's not considered abuse. And
it was a bite mark?
They were like hickeys. Like if you leave somebody like a hickey on their neck or their chest, that's what she had 2 of them. She had one, it was like an open bite mark, and the other one was a closed bite mark. And it was very, very obviously bite marks. And they didn't investigate. They left it alone. They said, we're not looking into it. Yeah, it happened months ago and she still got the marks, but we're not interested. The way CPS is covering this up, like I can literally call any of the caseworkers, supervisors, program directors, program coordinator, and I can harass them. I can call them pedophiles. I can call them rapists. I can call them all kinds of names in the book, and they're not going to do anything. They want me to go away because the sooner I go away, the sooner this case, is swept under the rug because so many people did so many things wrong. That's why I'm getting the runaround every time I call them or try to deal with them. Even a new case, they will not look into it. My kids, they won't touch them. Not at all. There's basically been nobody to turn to. I've been turning to everybody I can and reaching out to everyone I can to try to get their story heard until it reaches the right ears.
So when you got them back, how did they get taken again?
I kept the kids because when I filed the police report and did all the forensic interviews, I talked to a police officer and I told her that we have temporary orders as 50-50 custody. And I said, well, what do I do about that? And she said, if you believe your daughter, I wouldn't let them go back. You shouldn't. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to keep them. And up to that point, I put them in counseling. I did all the right things. I followed the law. I let her know what was going on. I let her know the kids made an outcry. I let her know if you want to pick the kids up, you can pick them up from the counselor. But she represented to the court as if I had cut her off contact, no way to pick up the kids, no way to see them. And so the court took that and turned around and said that it was interfering with child custody. So I ended up getting arrested this past February because of that. I didn't get a hearing or anything. They just all of a sudden I got a felony warrant out for interfering with child custody, and I still don't know what's going on with that.
Have you been to court?
I've been to court once since I got a new attorney because I had a previous attorney. I fired them. I tried to do pro se because I know the law pretty well, but here in San Antonio, they won't let you represent yourself. I actually got walked out of the courtroom by the bailiff cussing at the judge because the judge told me, he said, "Be quiet, Mr. Obando, you'll get your chance to speak," and didn't let me have a chance to speak. And I was so mad. And the bailiff, he's like, just be quiet. I know, I understand. Be quiet, and just kind of walked me out of there. And it's just like, so this judge, he doesn't just do it to me. He does it enough to where this bailiff understands that this judge is making people angry by refusing their rights. And when I hired a new attorney, the only thing he's been able to do is put her on child support. Because that's how it originally was. Like I filed, when she walked out on us, I filed for child support immediately. So if he was able to do that, and then other than that, court's been reset. It's been reset over a year now. We haven't had a court date. Okay, we get a court date and it gets reset. We get a court date and it gets reset. And that's been going on over a year. And I keep telling my attorney, well, what about emergency orders, emergency motions? And he doesn't want to do anything about that. And I'm telling, the abuse, like they've made outcries and they tell me, oh, when it gets to that, we'll get the forensic interviews. Because I tried to get the forensic interviews the kids did, and CPS told me that only my attorney can request them. So in effect, like I haven't been represented in court. The judge has no idea what's been going on with these kids. All as far as they can tell, it's just two people who decided to split. That's all the court knows at this point. So the children don't have any protection.
I can't believe they're back with the abuser.
That's what I can. And all three children made the outcry. They all came forwards, and it's really messing me up because how are they gonna grow up after that, knowing that they did the right thing, they came forwards, and still were not believed, and were still put back in the hands of these people. And the CPS, they would tell me, the investigators, the supervisors, they would tell me off and on. Some would tell me, and some would tell me, no, we don't do that. But they told me that kids talk and act sexual by a certain age. And I was like, well, can you tell me how a 6-year-old, how a 2-year-old should be acting sexual? And they wouldn't tell me. And other workers, they'd be like, no, we don't do that. We don't have no guidelines. We don't do that. So it's like I kept just getting this back and forth from the CPS caseworkers. And from what I gathered here in Bexar County, I mean, it's completely okay to talk sexually to a child and get them to talk sexually and act sexual with other kids. And it's not a crime because there's no one here to enforce that. There's no one here to protect children's rights. There just isn't. The way it went down was CPS was in charge of investigating. Since they're the experts on child abuse, law enforcement comes in and says, hey, CPS, do we need to investigate anything? And if CPS says no, then law enforcement doesn't go any further with their investigation. And since CPS had it in their interest to cover it up, there's nobody in the outside to uncover it unless I can find an attorney. And even then, I can't find an attorney that's willing to just get the evidence. That's willing to just take the money, get paid to take this all to court.
I have an attorney for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I will take it. I need one. That's the only thing that's excuse me?
He's amazing.
Hey,
He is not afraid.
That's what I need. I mean, all the evidence is there. That's what really upsets me. All the evidence is there. It just needs to be looked at. It just needs to be brought to light. That's all it is.
Man, these cases like yours are so hard. It's frustrating.
Yeah, and lives are being lost. They're being changed forever, and CPS is more concerned about their job than they are about, child safety. You know, when it came down to it, like I said, they didn't care about the kids. They were laser focused on what they wanted from me. And I said, well, how are you going to protect the kids? They said, well, if you do your parenting classes and your drug tests and all that, then we've done our job. And it's like, that's no, like these kids are making an outcry and you're completely ignoring it, completely shutting it down. And it was heartbreaking, very heartbreaking. My kids, I mean, my daughter understood what was going on, and
Yeah.
it was destroying her.
When was the last time you saw him?
It was February 11th, uh, 2019. I saw him in the morning before going to court, and I went to court that day, and the judge was like, "Where are the kids at? Where are the kids at? You need to hand them over, or you're gonna go to jail." And it was the Attorney General court for child support, and he was like, "I got this in front of me, so I'm gonna handle this." And then at the next court day, he's like, "I don't handle custody." It was child support court. He's like, "I don't handle custody. That's to the next. That's the next judge." So it's like he intervened and didn't hear my case out. I tried to explain to him what was going on and the situation, and they didn't want to hear none of that. They just wanted, "Where are the kids at? Hand them over, or you're going to jail." And I couldn't go to jail because I'm the only one fighting for these kids. I don't have any family. My friends, I have very few friends. Because what happened was, I'm not from San Antonio. I'm from Austin, and she had brought me over here in 2013, convinced me that her family was going to help us out and they were going to be there for us. And we got down here and it was a different story. And then she started doing all this stuff, and I kind of got trapped in a city where I really don't know anybody. So with your attorney, I guess, can you direct message me that information? Or
Yes, but also on Saturday nights we do a radio show.
okay,
I would like you to call, share your story on there, and he usually will say, "Call me," and he'll give you his number. If he does,
okay,
I mean, I have his number anyway, so I can give you his info. You can call and set up an appointment at the office and work from there. But if you want to talk to him, and he'll give you direction and everything, like right there.
okay. That sounds good. They said all the evidence is there. It's just a matter of being uncovered, of seeing the light. That's what's the biggest frustration, is that the evidence is there. There's no guesswork. It's just go and get the evidence and show it to the judge and make it be seen. Other than that, I haven't seen the kids. I don't know how they're doing. When I had picked the kids up on the 14th, the last time when I had picked them up, when they detailed the abuse, you know, my kids looked like they seen a ghost. The mom was telling them that I was dead, that I was never coming back for them, that the boyfriend was a new dad. Like they were forced into this whole new life that they never thought they would see me again. And now it's kind of true. It's been over a year, and at their age, I mean, that's a long time.
These poor babies. How old are they now?
My daughter just turned 9, so 9, 7, and 4. My youngest is gonna turn 5 in December.
Probably still going through the same abuse.
Yeah, I mean, if they got away with it the first time,
Right.
yeah, they're gonna get away with it again. I mean,
Nobody.
graphic
You
stuff.
said they were. Yeah, they were on the second floor and with the dog. How did nobody see that?
Well, the way their house is, it's like a multiplex, and they're on the backside, so there's no other apartments on the backside
I
except for
see.
there.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, they talked about being tied up. Uh, they would talk about being cut, like the way they were cut like in the lines in the palms of their hand and in their feet and all over their face and neck and everything. And CPS did not want to look at it. They refused. They refused to look at all the scars they had. I mean, it was bad. And
What
they,
about a doctor or their teachers?
well, apparently, whatever school they're going to, I'm assuming because there's a lot of pedophilia going on in Bear County. There's a lot like it's almost like the law. You have to be abusing their kids. But apparently, my daughter told me that the school she's going to, the teachers told them that they should never talk about what's going on at home. They don't tell what's going on at home. And it's like that's not what they should be teaching. They should be, if something's going on, that's the place to bring it up. And then with the doctor, here's what the doctor, because I got a video of my daughter. She just started crying because she thought she was gonna go back right at that moment. The CPS was gonna come in and take them back to the mom, because they were having problems with their feet. The doctor, they were saying that the boyfriend and the mom, they would beat their feet with sticks and belts, and they were having trouble walking. And I went to the doctor to have them checked out, and the doctor straight up, he didn't want to examine them. He straight up told me that it's children's word against the adults, and more than likely they're gonna believe the adults. So they're not gonna go through with any type of
This is why kids can't trust anybody.
And that's what I understand. 3 children, you can pull them all to the side, and they would tell you all the same stories, and nothing,
I
nothing.
don't
There's nobody.
understand why nobody is believing them. That's sad to me.
It's heartbreaking, and it's really what it comes down to is CPS. If CPS says no, nothing happened, then everybody just has to go with that because they're the experts on it. Even though everyone knows that they're corrupt. I mean, I even was getting mad at CPS that I wanted them to take the kids, and they're like, "Oh, you don't want us to take your kids. You don't want them in this system." And it's like, wait a minute, you're admitting yourself that you don't want children into this system that you're taking them into. Um, so, I mean, they refused to help. They refused. Everything I asked CPS, I begged CPS for help, and they refused every single thing I asked from them. Like, I've never really had a bad experience with Child Protective Services. I really, up until this point, really thought that, they would protect children when they had to. And I learned that there is nobody to protect children. There's no group, there's no entity. CPS is not Child Protective Services. They do not do any protecting of kids. It's not
No,
their job. Your job is to make sure you take a drug test, to make sure you do parenting classes, and make sure you do a behavioral assessment, and then they're out of there. As far as looking at the kids, it's not really important to them.
I'm angry. I don't even know what to say right now.
Yes, I have to live every day. I mean, I see a counselor and everything to help with all of this. So, because I mean, it's as a father, you want to go out and hurt somebody. But at the same time, when you are the only person fighting, you can't risk going to jail because it's not the same. You can't fight from inside a prison for your kid's safety. There's so many people that these kids told me abuse them. Like it was never more than one person. It didn't sound like somebody just getting their rocks off. It sounded like ritual abuse. Pictures were being taken, videos were being taken, and no investigation. I mean, some of the things, one of the first things my daughter came out with was that the boyfriend was sticking little toys in her vagina. And I said, well, where was mom? What did you tell her? And she said, oh, mom was taking him out of me with the Q-tip. So the mom was absolutely involved in all of the abuse, recording and handling it, covering it up. My daughter even has like a big firecracker shaped burn on her knee from a couple of 4th of Julys ago from, when 2018, July 4th. They put a firecracker on her leg, and the boyfriend blew it up so that they could blame me for it. So she has a big scar on her leg, the shape of a firecracker, and that's not abuse. I mean, like I said, they didn't want to look into any marks on their body whatsoever.
Did you say that the mom was removing the things from her with a Q-tip?
Yes.
I don't understand.
I don't either. I
If
mean,
somebody did that to my kid,
so I understand, like, when she had the kids, I was like, well, she's mental, she's got her problems, but at least she won't abuse the kids. And, I was complacent trying to get the kids back, thinking that, at least they were safe. And I was wrong. Were not safe. And I'm sure my daughter still has those marks on her because, she still had them when they left on February 11th. So he did the marks on February 12th, 2018, or on April 12th, 2018, and my daughter still had those marks on her February 11th, 2019. It was about, like, I think, like 9 months, 9, 10 months. She still had those marks on her. Yeah, that's my story. I mean, it's been
yeah,
ongoing. I
like,
can't get CPS involved. I just have to keep fighting and hopefully
but
find the
they're
right
not
attorney.
involved at all right now.
No, CPS is not involved. Like I said, they did an administrative closure on the case. They gave me 3 different reasons why they closed it. And like I said, I can call any one of them up, the supervisors, caseworkers, program coordinator, program director, regional director. I have all their numbers. I can call them and, I can accuse them. I can call them names and they're not going to open a case. They're not going to take me to court. They're not going to say, I'm a bad father. Because they don't want they're afraid of anything getting exposed. So the longer they don't touch it and keep their hands off it, the less likely they are to have to show up in court and explain their actions.
Did you hear Brad's story?
I have, yeah.
You guys sound an awful lot alike.
Yeah, that's what's really upsetting me. There's a lot of stories that sound the same, and it's almost like if you're not abusing the kid, like if you're not abusing the kids, you're doing something wrong. You're made out to be the bad parent because we care, because we love, because we have no intentions of harming the children. Um, we're not allowed to have them. And I know once it comes to light, my children can be protected, but until the truth sees the light, there's nothing that can be done because CPS is the end all be all of child abuse investigation.
Right. I'm just devastated by this story and Brad's and all the other people who went to CPS for help and no help. I don't understand. My attorney's a family law attorney too, so he does all of this.
Okay, so they handle CPS. I take it.
He fights everybody. He's amazing.
Nice.
He'll take your keys.
Yeah, because even my last attorneys, they switched to attorneys, and then I guess the last one just wanted me to fire them. And I paid them $9,000 for copy and paste. They laughed in my face and said, oh yeah, we copied and pasted it. It was just so they just did a cookie cutter thing, and I've had no representation. I've paid lawyers, attorneys $12,000, and have not gotten represented at all.
Crazy. Crazy.
I'm ready to take the next step, ready to move forwards and take the
Yeah.
fight to.
Well, when we're done, message the page again like you did and ask for the radio show info and the law office info.
Okay. do that.
All right.
Right.
What would you tell parents that are going through this? Or maybe kids that are involved
Um,
in this?
I feel that one day the tension's gonna be enough. There's gonna be a breaking point. I know it's not now, but the breaking point is coming, and CPS is gonna meet their end. The pedophiles, the people who want to hurt children. There's gonna be no hiding from them eventually. There's gonna be no stopping the anger that they're building. That's how I feel. Justice will be served.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
Gosh dang. Well,
It's a long fight, a long
yeah,
road.
it is. Well, I appreciate you sharing your story. Um, let's schedule another one for an
Okay,
update
thank you.
when we help you out and get your kids back. Let's
Yeah, would love to. I appreciate the opportunity to have a platform for our voice.
absolutely. I'm grateful to do it. I feel, people thank me, but I'm like, dude, I feel so honored that people feel safe to share. I mean, I know I'm just the face. You're sharing with everybody, but it's still with me.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful and I'm so sorry.